You know that feeling, right? When you stumble on an article that proves you were right about something all along, it feels great. That's confirmation bias in action. But what if I told you that this so-called glitch in our thinking isn't a glitch at all? What if it's a feature with a purpose that's way stranger and way more powerful than we ever imagined?
And that's the big, kind of weird puzzle we're digging into today. I mean, think about it. On the surface, confirmation bias looks like a terrible design flaw. It's something that actively stops us from seeing the world as it really is. So, why would evolution build this thing into literally every single human brain?
So just to be crystal clear what we're talking about, it's this tendency we have to look for and interpret and really favor information that just confirms what we already believe. And at the same time, we're totally ignoring anything that contradicts it. It's not passive. It's like we're actively filtering reality to match what we expect to see. And look, this isn't some rare thing that only happens to other people. Researchers call it ubiquitous. It's everywhere. It's a built-in feature of the mind. It doesn't matter how smart you are or how hard you try to avoid it, it's there. And that just makes the mystery even deeper, right? If it's so fundamental to how we think, but it's also so bad at finding the truth, what in the world is it actually for? Okay, to really get a handle on just how weird and powerful this bias is, we have to talk about this one study. It's absolutely mind-bending. It shows in a really clever way how easily our own brains can trick us, even into arguing against our own deepest beliefs. So here's how they did it. It was basically a magic trick. They'd ask people their opinion on some important moral principles. Then, using a bit of sleight of hand, the experimenter would secretly change their answers on the paper to the exact opposite of what they'd just said. Then they'd ask them, okay, can you explain your reasoning here? You'd think people would immediately say, hey, wait a minute, that's not what I said, right? Yeah, no. An incredible 69% of people didn't notice that their answers had been flipped. And it gets crazier. They didn't just not notice, they immediately started to passionately defend the new opposite position. They were literally arguing against their own beliefs just because they assumed the piece of paper in front of them must be correct. That's confirmation bias in overdrive.
So that brings us right back to the big question. This experiment is the perfect example of the bias at work. Our brains are built to find justifications, not to find the truth. We're kind of lazy critics of our own thinking. So again, if this thing is so bad for us, so dysfunctional, why does everyone have it?
Now, people have been wrestling with this paradox for a while, and a few common explanations have popped up. We can call them the usual suspects, but as we're about to see, each one of these theories has a pretty big hole in it. All right, Theory 1, it's to help us win arguments. You know, you just collect all the points for your side and ignore everything else. Sounds good, right? Except it actually makes you a worse arguer. If you completely ignore the other side's points, you have no idea how to counter them. It's a terrible strategy if you actually want to persuade anybody. Okay, so what about Theory 2? Maybe it's not about the individual, it's for the good of the group, like a division of cognitive labor. If everyone's a little biased in a different direction, then together the group covers all the bases. But the catch is, that only works if you have a really diverse group. Our early ancestors, they probably lived in pretty small, like-minded groups. In that situation, this bias doesn't lead to smart decisions, it leads to one thing: massive groupthink. And the third big idea is that it helps us all get on the same page, to cooperate better. But once again, the actual effect of the bias is the exact opposite. It makes us less able to understand where other people are coming from, which makes it harder to get aligned, not easier. So that one's out too. So, if all the usual explanations don't really work, then what are we left with? Well, this is where things get really interesting. This is where the story takes a huge twist, and we get an explanation for confirmation bias that is completely counterintuitive. See, all those other theories we just talked about, they all start with the same basic assumption, that the whole point of thinking is to get an accurate picture of reality. But what if that's just wrong? What if the purpose of this bias has nothing to do with seeing the world correctly?
What if our brain didn't build this thing to just see the world as it is?
What if it's for shaping the world, to actually change reality until it matches the picture we have in our heads? This is the wild idea behind a new theory. The basic thought is that confirmation bias isn't for understanding people, it's for influencing them until they become the people we believe them to be. I know, it sounds a little like science fiction, right? Bending reality with your mind, but it's actually a well-known psychological effect.
And the engine that makes this whole reality-shaping thing work is called a self-fulfilling prophecy.
So, what is a self-fulfilling prophecy? It's pretty simple. It's when you have a belief about something that isn't actually true, at least not yet. But the very fact that you believe it causes you to act in a certain way, and your actions end up making that initial belief come true. It works like a powerful feedback loop. You can break it down into 4 steps. First, there's the belief. You hold a really firm, maybe initially false idea about someone. Second, that belief changes your behavior toward them. Third, your behavior influences them, and they start to react differently. And finally, their new behavior confirms your original belief. The circle is complete. Okay, here's the classic example. You've probably heard of it. A teacher just gets a feeling that one of her students is secretly brilliant. There's no real evidence, it's just a hunch. But because she believes it, she gives that student more challenging work, she encourages them more, and what happens? The student rises to the occasion, works harder, and their grades actually skyrocket, fulfilling the teacher's original belief. And this whole thing starts from the moment we're born. Think about a baby just making random sounds. Mama. A mother hears this and believes, he's calling for me. She rushes over, full of excitement and love. The baby very quickly makes the connection. Hey, when I make that sound, I get this amazing reaction. And so he starts using it on purpose. Her belief literally taught him his first word. She shaped his reality. So where does our friend confirmation bias fit into all this? It's the engine that drives the whole thing. See, here's the key. These self-fulfilling prophecies only really work if the person holding the belief is absolutely convinced they're right. It's that unwavering conviction that has the power to influence other people. And confirmation bias, that's the mental tool that gives us that rock-solid certainty, even when there's no good reason for it. It's the fuel for the fire. So, if you step back and think about this, the implications are huge. It completely changes how we should think about our own minds and our social worlds. We aren't just passively walking around observing what's happening. The old way of thinking was that our mind is like a camera, just trying to take an accurate picture of reality. This new idea says, no, our mind is more like a paintbrush. Our beliefs, especially our beliefs about other people, aren't just pictures of what's there. They are the brushstrokes that are actively painting the reality that's going to exist. And that leaves us with one last kind of mind-bending thought to chew on. Think about your own deepest beliefs, about who you are, about the people in your life, about what you're capable of. Are those beliefs just a reflection of how things are right now? Or are they the blueprint, powered by this strange little bias, for the person you are becoming and the world you are building around you?